Hello, it's Naomi, Nome in the Cottage here. Thought I'd take a minute to tell you why my YouTube channel has the name Nome in the Cottage. I live in a very old house. It was built in 1812, and I live in a town in New Hampshire that its big claim to fame is that former President Franklin Pierce is from this town. In fact, when I moved in, I'm fascinated with history. I teach history. I love history. I'm a historical girl. So I dove headfirst into the history of the house and the Pierce family and the town. It is fascinating. So, the reason it's called the Honeymoon Cottage is because Franklin Pierce's brother in law built this, and he was a Revolutionary War general, General McNeil, and he ended up selling it. I believe I mean, they owned a lot of the houses in the area, especially on this particular part of the town. And Franklin and Jane bought it for their wedding. They lived in it for 6 years. And well, he was gone a lot. He was very political. He was in office before he became president. And Jane hated it here. She really did. In fact, she kind of got a weird reputation in history, but I really like the history of Jane Pierce. A lot of things people don't know. She wasn't very well physically. She was in kind of poor physical health. Franklin doted on her, absolutely loved her. And Jane, well, she disapproved. She was Calvinist, I believe, Christian. He was another denomination of Christianity, but he wasn't as strictly adhering to traditional values that Jane was. He liked to drink, he liked to party, he liked to probably gamble, and she was not okay with it, but she put up with it and put him in his place a couple times, from what I understand. However, I've had a few very strange things happen. I've had somebody come and ask to tour my house as though it was a museum, and I was being very nice and I allowed them to, but they started talking badly about Jane. She was certainly not the woman behind the man. I was like, "Excuse me, you can leave. This is the house that I am a steward of at this point. This is a historical home. You're not going to come into my home and talk smack about the former owner or owners. They might be listening. In fact, I believe they fully are." Jane tragically lost two children at a young age, and then she and Franklin had a son that lived to be 11. His name was Benjamin. And right when he was inaugurated, right within that few days before his inauguration, when they were moving into the White House, they were taking a train back and forth from Concord, from Concord to Washington, Washington to Concord to bring all of their belongings. And tragically, somewhere in Massachusetts, the train derailed. Franklin grabbed for Benny and Jane. He got Jane, but Benny just slipped right out of his grasp. And tragically, they saw the result of what happened to their little boy that they loved so very much. He was almost decapitated. And Franklin Pierce had to go give his inaugural speech within a day or two after that tragic death, and he did it. Now, I am not going to sit here, even in this house, and advocate for what I think Franklin Pierce was about. Do I think he was a good guy or a bad guy? Everything's a little more nuanced than that. But I will say there are some issues in which there are no compromises. He was responsible for bleeding Kansas. If you don't know what that is, look it up. He was president during the time when slavery should be, well, slavery should never have been in the United States, but it was a very tumultuous time. There was a huge abolitionist movement, and there was a massive outcry for government to do something. Franklin Pierce was what we call a doe-eyed Democrat. So he was a Democrat from the North. Well, So I want to get my facts straight. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party at the time were sort of reversed in values than what they look like now. But what I'm going to say is he was a northerner. When you think of the North during the time right around the Civil War, you generally think, oh, abolitionists, they were anti slavery. Not everybody. We know not everybody fits neatly into boxes. He had Southern leanings. In other words, from what I understand, he believed that slavery should be contained in the South and not change. No, that's not okay. He should have done something. He only served one term. I mean, I've been to the Franklin Pierce, I was the Benjamin Pierce. His dad was Benjamin, the Benjamin Pierce homestead, and I've seen their awesome house, and I've learned so much about their lives. But I do know that that one issue is enough to make me look back in history and say he should have done something. It was timely. It was important, and he didn't. He didn't. It took after that we had Buchanan, and then finally Lincoln, who stood up and changed history. Lincoln is looked at as our top president in U.S. history. Yes, it's somewhat subjective, but if you Google it, if you look at a lot of, different sources, yeah, he's top, if not top two, with FDR, of course, being the next. Now, I'm not going to get into rating all the presidents, but I am going to get back into politics because that's kind of what I do here. Yes, I realize I haven't made a video in a while, and I've been really busy with work, and I'm sorry, I am putting my fatigue level and my mental health and my family first because otherwise I'm not healthy. I want to do this as long as I enjoy doing it, and if anything comes of it, meaning if it gets bigger, I would love it. But I'm gonna do it as I want to do it. And yes, my intention is to do more regular uploads. So I'm just going to go over a couple things this past week or two that stood out in my mind. I don't have a screen share. I don't have a deep dive. Speaking of deep dives, The Echo Machine by David Pakman. I had planned already to do that review of that book, and I'm not finished with it, if that tells you anything. It's not a bad book. I will get into the review, the pros and the cons, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. And overall, I love it, but usually a fast reader, and I would usually finish a book that size within a few days. I'm easily distracted with this one. So I love Stephen King. Can't put Stephen King down. Can't put Diana Gabaldon down. A lot of authors I can't put down. This one I'm saving to at the end of the day when I'm in my bed and my little bedside lamp is on and my partner's next to me and my cat is on me and maybe the dog is also there. There might be animals there and it's quiet and I'm ready for bed and I'm reading until I get tired. I can just feel the pull of my night pill and I'm just like and then I put it down. And I'm not reading it during the day because too easily distracted. I mean, I live in a house that was built in 1812. It's big. It's a lot to keep up with as far as cleaning and then there's chickens and ducks and I got off track. Um the autism registry. I do want to mention that. First of all, my son Alex does have autism spectrum disorder, and you've probably seen the video where he was asked to get up and speak at the protest in Concord. It was impromptu on the 19th on Saturday, and he did, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Um, TikTok, because did put it on TikTok. I didn't know it was going to happen, and I figured, hey, it's already on everyone's video. Might as well put it on TikTok. It blew up. And I had barely a TikTok channel. And now it's got a lot of views. Hometown people were nasty. People in my hometown said the most vile things about my son. And I was very professional. I kept it above board. I did not stoop to anyone's level. I only blocked one person who said something. Most people were about me. Can I say ABUSIVE? Like, I don't know. On YouTube, I'm not monetized anyway. To my son, which because I let him speak at a protest. Nothing's come of it. People are just keyboard warriors. And you know what? Let them be. People are entitled to their opinion. And it is a political group for the town. So people are just showing their true colors, in my opinion. Um, when my son Alex heard what RFK Jr. said about people with autism, yeah, he barely caveated it with some people. He really painted a broad brush. Won't be able to hold a job, won't pay taxes, won't go on a date, won't play baseball. My son audibly gasped. He was angry. My 10-year-old, my sweet 10-year-old who never hurt anybody, was hurt by this man. And that was one of the things that prompted him to get up and speak. And he did mention something related to that. He also mentioned quite a few other things, and I really encourage you to go and watch the video. It's maybe I'll figure out how to link a card again. And you could see him get up and speak. I think it's a short on the YouTube channel. You might not agree with how outspoken he is. I did say what they said. Would he like to speak on behalf of the youth? I said, I don't know what will come out of his mouth. And I said, would you like to speak, Alex? He said, yes. And I didn't know he had that kind of charisma in him. And he did. He had the crowd. He even started two chants because we did our protest practice, which is when we got snowed out on the protest for the 5th. That's also in my videos. He remembered those chants and he led the crowd in the chants. Couldn't be more proud of him. The Autism Registry. RFK is planning to implement this registry to find out the cause of autism because there's some. This is code for uh, the very false notion that is being spread that autism is caused by vaccinations. No, that has been debunked. It is just something that used to people didn't used to give any credence to it until it started to be something people ran on for campaigns and people started repeating it, and now there's a large group of people that believe it, and I've already made a video about the measles outbreaks. So if you choose not to get vaccines, that's on you. But you know what? I do have a problem with it. If you're not vaccinating your kids, you're not protecting. It is your choice. You have that freedom. But you're putting people at risk, including your own child, if you're not getting your child vaccinated. The Autism Registry. RFK Jr. wants to start a registry so they can put everybody, and they're going to go through Medicaid records, probably school records, diagnosed. I don't know how, but it was my mind was blown when I saw it because I couldn't think of a more gross violation of medical privacy and privacy laws, HIPAA to one. They were just going to find out who's been diagnosed with autism and just stick them in a registry so they could track it and study it, find out what's causing the epidemic. He refuses to believe that larger, bigger diagnostic criteria is the reason that we do see more recognized cases of autism. He's an idiot. He's absolutely not qualified as an environmental lawyer to be making major decisions at the Department of Health at the level he's at, the top. A registry of people who are marginalized is a terrible idea. Maybe I will do a deep dive as to historically why that's a bad idea. Well, let's think back to Germany. Let's think about when Jewish people had to show their papers, prove their ancestry. And I did look this up once. There was like a, depending on how much Jewish was in your ancestry, you could and could not do certain things, and that chose the level of discrimination they had against you. This is a terrible idea. A non optional autism registry. That's again straight out of the authoritarian handbook. Don't let them do this. Don't let them get away with it. Please. We have to stand up. We have to do something. What else? There was so many things that happened. I mean, I am not going to be able to mention everything that happened. We found out that Hegseth was sharing signal chats that he started on war plans with his lawyer, his wife, and his brother, which we should all care very much about. That's horribly inappropriate, but we move on because that's what we do now is we move on. No, I'm going to keep coming back to these big security leaks. Signal Gate 1, Signal Gate 2. If we don't keep talking about it, it will go away. And they'll be like, oh, you're still talking about that? Yes, for good reason. No other countries trust us anymore. Our former allies aren't going to share information with us anymore. And our soldiers, which my son is one of them, by the way, are at risk. Their very lives are at risk because of these horrible, incompetent people. Pope Francis sadly passed away. Trump and Melania attended. Trump broke the dress code, wore blue. I don't need to point out how disrespectful and ironic that was, where he let Vance chastise Zelensky for not wearing a suit. But that's just Trump for you. He thinks that he can do anything he wants. He's also claiming he's talked with China regarding trade deals and the tariffs. Well, China is saying that's fake news. President Xi Jinping is saying, no, we haven't. So I believe China. I don't believe Trump. He's a proven liar. He lies if he's moving his lips. You can tell that he's lying. He's moving his lips, therefore he's lying. So, no, there have been no meetings with China. Again, a lie. Abrego Garcia, they're refusing to extradite him back here, violating court order. What else? I mean, there's other things that I'm sure you know about. The the judge that was arrested for telling her the guy in the court to go out a different door was put in jail. Sorry. Uh, I don't even have the information in front of me to get into the details about that, so I'm just going to mention it. What else? There are photographs of Zelensky meeting with Trump at the funeral of Pope Francis, which I think a lot bigger of a deal is being made than should be. I think it was maybe an attempt by certain parts of the press to undo the damage that was done at the Oval Office meeting, but don't buy it. I think Trump made some post on Truth Social. He's made a couple of them. That's kind of what he does. He's almost addicted to Truth Social about bringing back Columbus Day, and we're already here. We don't need to resurrect the dead. Um, there's a reason we sort of toned down Columbus Day, and again, that is not the main issue on the table that the country is facing. There are bigger fish to fry, by the way. I might do a separate channel with things I've been cooking. I made some delicious fried fish the other day. Piccata. It was a swai piccata. But anyway, I digress. Uh, bigger issues than my fried fish in front of us. The tariffs, tariffs. The fact that Russia again started bombing Ukraine, and Trump, bad Putin. Putin, stop. But Zelensky, don't you want to end this war? He's such an idiot. I'm sure I missed quite a bit. I just didn't want to go too long without at least checking in, saying hello. So, what I want to do is ask you, my little audience that I hope gets bigger, what would you like to see on this channel? I want to stay doing political activism. And yes, I am planning to go to another protest on Thursday, May 1st. It's called a May Day. Look around, there's probably one in your area. The organization that's running it, oh, there are multiple. So just look it up. So check out May Day protests. The one I'm going to is in my state capital, Concord, New Hampshire, from 5 to 7. Um, but I want to know what you'd like me to do. Do you want me to do deep dives on historical issues related to politics? Deep dives on current issues? Would you like more news of the week, news of the day? Would you like me to interview people? I could do that. Would you like an AMA? Ask me anything. I don't know that you want to know that much about me, but hey, would you like me to do a live AMA? I'm happy to do it. Um, would you like me to read a certain book? If so, please put it in the comments and let me know. Should I put a poll out as a post and say, hey, here are some ideas, and just click what you'd like to see? Because I want you guys to come and I want you to bring people over. I want people to watch the channel. I want to do more content, and I will. But I just would like to know what you'd like to see. If you want to know more about the history of my town and historical topics, I can do that as well. But right now, I'd like to keep most of the focus on politics. But hey, I will, I will branch out. Absolutely. I mean, look at my old stuff. It's 90 Day Fiance coverage. But right now, this is topical for me, and I'm passionate about it. And that's why I want to do it. I stopped watching 90 Day Fiance after the inauguration. I think I watched one or two episodes of The Last Resort, and I haven't turned it on, and I'm okay with it. I'm living with myself for not watching 90 Day Fiance. So please, if you've made it this far, please subscribe. Come on, doesn't cost you anything. Just subscribe and give it a like. Leave a comment. It does make me feel good to see your comments, honestly. I know technically it boosts it in the algorithm, but really I care about wanting to know what you say. And if you want Alex to join me in a video, more videos, he wants to. I know there's a little controversy about putting your kid on the internet, but I've come to terms with what's okay and what's not for my son. So let me know what you think. I'm open to advice, opinions, and have a great day and look forward to that David Pacman, the Echo Machine review. And I was thinking, I've done this before. If people want to read the book, it's signed, and I'm willing to do this. I love getting signed books. I'm willing to do like a honor system book. I don't know what I'd call it, like a book chain. So if somebody wants to read it, and they message me after I do the review, I'll ship it to you on my cost as long as you're in the US. You read it, and when you're done, you got to ship it to the next person on the list. I've done this before with Stephen King books, signed ones, and they come back to me, believe it or not. And I don't do it with a book that I would die if I couldn't get it back, because most of my signed, I can get signed again, because most of my signed are Joe Hill, and he lives in Exeter, and he's very local, and he's easy to get to sign a book. So anyway, but this is different. David Pacman, it's okay. I'm willing to do that. So till next time, Nome in the Cottage. Bye.